I was a hairstylist for 10 years, and my page was everywhere. I just did fashion shows. I did TV stuff, weddings.
That's hilarious because as I was getting ready, I was doing my hair and I had like this, I think it's Revlon. It's like a blowy thing with a brush on it.
Okay.
And I was like, all right, that's good enough. That's good enough. And Spirit was like, that's not.
There was that power you felt.
It was like, you got a critic coming your way. Like, you need to like go. And I was like, okay. And so I was going to ask if either of you were like surrounded in hair stuff because that
really? So you felt it?
Yeah, that was really weird.
Oh, wow. Get out of my head.
I can't.
All right, let's begin. All right, here we go. I'm speaking with Melissa, a dedicated and gifted spiritual medium. Melissa is a wife, a mom of 4, born in New York, but now resides in Virginia. Certified meditation facilitator and a professional life coach with specialization in goal success and cognitive behavioral coaching. Her connection in the spiritual world has been with her throughout her life. A life-changing experience confirmed her connection when her loved ones started speaking back to her, validate her calling, to bridge the gap between the physical and the spiritual realms. It wasn't until 2016, after her encounter with a gifted medium, that she recognized her unique calling. Her passion lies in empowering others to rediscover their strength and heal from life challenges. How you doing, Melissa?
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing okay. How are you?
Can't complain. 9 a.m., you know.
Oof.
I'm a morning person. I love the morning.
I'm not.
Oh, you're not?
But I had to be up because my 5-year-old goes to kindergarten. But normally he gets on the bus and I lay back down a little bit.
It's amazing you're able to get everybody out and condition nice at 9 a.m., like back to like center, because the kids start at 8 o'clock, right?
So my 5-year-old gets on the bus at 8:30, and then my 14-year-old will get on the bus in about 12 minutes.
Oh, in front of the house?
Right in front of the house.
Cool. So nice.
Yeah.
Country living.
Yeah, it's nice. Can't complain.
I had to get on a dingy bus to go to St. John's Prep.
No.
Yeah, in Queens. Where were you in New York?
Queens.
Oh, wow.
So I was born in Rockaway and then moved around Queens a little bit, Ozone Park, Richmond Hill, and then ended up in Jackson Heights. And then ended up here when I was 10.
Wow, that's a lot of changing up to 10 years old. My goodness. I thought it was going to be like a span of like 18 years. 10 years old, and you went to Jackson Heights, Rockaway. I think we have to dive into that one.
Excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for coming. This is really interesting. I was a little in my head like, is she going to read me? Is something going to happen? Are we going to get somebody to come and visit? What's this? My wife has done the medium stuff, and the lady was spot on. We went to Salem, Massachusetts. And yeah, she really like told her a lot of stuff. She came out crying. I was like, oh damn, I thought it was just something for fun, but she hit it. So you guys definitely have something. So yeah. All right, cool. Let's begin in the beginning. Right. How did you get into spiritual healing? What was the profound moment that made you say, I have something here?
The profound. Okay, well, it like you said, it's been with me my whole life. Okay. When I was younger, like I used to just have like these quick little visions. Like for instance, one morning I was getting ready for school. I was in 8th grade and I was picking out my outfit and I pulled a shirt out of my closet. And in that very moment, I saw another girl that I knew from school wearing the exact same shirt, but in a lighter shade.
Wow. In your head?
In my head.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, whatever. And I put it on and I get to school and sure enough, she's wearing the same shirt that I saw in my head. So little things like that throughout my entire life. It really amped up when I got to high school. I used to get this weird, the best way that I can describe it is gut feeling, right? But really it was like claircognizance, like, you know, like I just kind of knew somebody would die. or like be really injured. But it was frustrating at the time because I didn't know who, I didn't know how, and ultimately I couldn't fix it or help it. And so that was really tough on me to have like those, I know it's coming, I just got to wait for the phone call to find out who type of thing.
Yeah. Well,
super tough. And then, like you had mentioned, in 2016, I come from a Catholic background, and so you're taught that psychics and things like this just, it's not of God and you don't mess with it. My mother was very afraid of all of this. However, my grandmother and my great-grandmother, I believe, had gifts. Like my mom told me that one of her brother's passings were predicted. And so, anyway, I had lost somebody very, very close to me. And it was very tough as somebody that just kind of wanted to follow God, right? But I always wondered, like, you want to hire a medium? Or, I would watch Teresa Caputo, the Long Island medium, and we were really heavy in the church. And so it came to be that my husband didn't want it on the TV. And so I would watch it when he wasn't there. And so, but I would find myself in these situations where I would already feel what Teresa was feeling. And like in my mind, sometimes in my body, I would feel the way these people passed, and just, it was very interesting. And so finally, a few years later, I'm scrolling through Instagram, and we had a radio personality here, a local one, posted about his wife being a medium. And it like piqued my curiosity again, right? Because it was like, oh my gosh, there's one like close to home.
Yeah.
So I looked through her stuff. I'm very careful not to like anything, not to follow, not to, make a peep on her page. Just in case one day I decided, I needed to know that it was like genuine. So that was a good year and a half, right? She had a blog. I read it. It was interesting. But I remember one day I was reading her blog and I just kept hearing, you are a medium too. You're a medium too. You're a medium too. And in that moment, I'm like, I rebuke this in the name of Jesus. Like, I closed it. I exited it all out. I restarted my phone. Like, I didn't know, because I was still very heavy in my belief. I converted to Christianity, and I just felt like I was, I still very strongly believe in spiritual warfare and things like that. And so I didn't know if I could trust it, So at that point, I'm like, I rebuke this in the name of Jesus. Like, God, forgive me for even looking at it. At the end of the day, I have a family to protect. And so I closed it out, and fast forward some months, I am scrolling through Facebook, and this radio station is live, and she's giving readings live on Facebook. And my husband's in the shower, and so I'm watching it.
And you're like,
right, I'm like, lowering it, right?
Yeah.
And so he gets out, and at this point, she's in the middle of a reading, and I am so intrigued. I didn't even care that he was out of the shower. Like, I'm just watching it.
Yeah.
Because my husband had lost his mom also before I met him.
Okay.
So the question was always there, like, wouldn't you like to see maybe, like if anything comes up, if we hire someone, or so anyway, so I'm letting this reading pan out on my phone in the middle of the night, and he's like, what are you watching? And I literally go, shh, just listen.
You didn't care at that point. You're like, no, I'm in this.
I'm here. Like, I need to see what happens.
It's like, I watched I'm sorry to cut you off. So I watch these kids that, are afterlife kids. They come back from a previous life. And, you get to the point where you push it down. And then there's just too much evidence that you have to just, you know what? Pandora's box been open. I don't care what you say. I got to dive into this. There's something here.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So he's laying there and he's watching, and it's the end, and he's like, that was really, really cool. And all I did, I looked at him and I go, are you ready? He goes, book it. And I'm like, oh.
It's like a movie, like the sound. Are you ready?
Exactly.
We'll close the shades. We'll light one candle.
Right. So he goes, book it. Well, there's no time. I called the lady's assistant, or I think I actually did it all through. No, it was a phone call, but she didn't ask me my name. All she did was give me a date. She didn't need any information from me, and I really liked that.
Mm-hmm.
So in that moment, I'm like, I think it was like 3.5 weeks out. It was in the beginning of November, and my session was scheduled for like 2 or 3 days before Thanksgiving.
Okay.
2016. And I'm in my kitchen, and I am just talking to my loved ones the way that I did all the time. And I'm like, talking to my husband's mom and just my brother's dad. And
Wait, your husband's mom passed.
My husband's mom had passed. Yep. So I'm like, listen, we're going to have this session. Like, if you need to tell him anything.
Okay. Gotcha.
Make sure you come.
Oh.
And he like responds back to me, and I'm like, okay, right? But it was like clairaudiently, like in my mind's eye, or like I called it a thought voice at the time, because I didn't know about the clairs or anything about this world at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, I like move on. I'm like, okay, moving right along. That was kind of creepy. And I now I'm like talking with my brother's dad. And I'm like, hey, because my brother was living with me at the time, and we were working through some things. And I'm like, listen, if you have any insight about something that's going to help out here, like, feel free to hop on in. Like,
mm-hmm.
I don't mind sharing my time, if it's going to be beneficial to someone else.
Okay.
And he responded back to me too. And I'm like, so I call my husband, and he's at lunch with a client. And he's like, listen, baby, I really can't talk. And I was like, no, like, we need to talk. And he's like, can I call you back? And I'm like, I might be in a straitjacket when you get back. Like, I need you to step away because I need to tell you something.
So this stuff like triggered up all these afterlife people to kind of come to it and speak their voice.
Yeah, like, so my big like religious block, or my wall per se, was lowered when I made the appointment, and it like opened up everything that I had been carrying but was blocking.
Wow, that's cool.
Right?
It's kind of like a mental block when you don't want to, heal, and you have this like, no, healing is BS. And then you start believing it when you start like healing internally with trauma or whatever. Then you start seeing it now, and then all of a sudden you believe it, and then everything just starts flooding the idea. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. So I tell him, and I'm like, but they're responding back to me in a thought voice, and I'm freaking out. And he just very calmly goes, maybe you're hearing from them for real. And I'm like, my husband, the Christian? Like, my husband, the Christian man?
That was very profound for you, because now a non-believer is believing you.
Yes. So with that, I just said, listen, if I'm really hearing from you guys, I need you to let me know. So I leave it be. I don't talk to nobody again. So I go to my session, and that was one of the very first things that come up. And she goes, you're sensitive also, but you hear them in a thought voice. I died. Joey, I died right there.
Wow. And you never gave her any insight to say that?
Nothing. I literally just sat down on her couch. She greeted my husband by name. I only gave her my name and said I was bringing a guest. She was incredible. And it just so happened that she was starting a development circle that January. But so you had to go to these like meetings beforehand, apply to join the circle, and then you had to get approved to join the circle. Based off of like whatever like little tests she had us do. Well, I think it was like my second little get together meeting. She pulled me aside into her office and was like, I need to know how serious you are about this, because you have something and I want you. And so
what does that mean, I want you? Like
in her class to like train me, to like hold my hand and guide me through it, like to own my gift and understand what was happening. And so so from there it was like she confirmed what I was hearing. She gave me books, she gave me things to read and things to do and exercises to try, and I just
you were like consumed, like you were probably all in it all night, right?
Loved it. I loved it. I felt like, oh my gosh, this is what people feel like when they find their purpose. This is what it feels like to be fulfilled. I was open, boy. I was wide open. Anywhere I went, I was feeling spirit, hearing spirit. Like, it took me a little bit to, like, hone in on it and, like, understand that, like, there's boundaries. You know, there's rules you have to set so that you're not that open channel all the time. But it was genuinely phenomenal.
So now, did you ever see the movie Stir of Echoes with Kevin Bacon?
No.
Oh, you have to watch that.
All right, let me write it down.
You have to watch that. That is so you would be like this.
For real?
You want me to give you a synopsis of it?
Yeah, good.
Okay, so Kevin Bacon and his wife moved into a new house. His wife's sister is a medium, and they're drunk one night and they're all playing around. And he's like, "Do me, do me." And he's like, really like your husband was, like non-caring. This is stupid. You're an idiot. Oh yeah, I bet you I can get something. So he closes his eyes. She's doing something, and then he wakes up like out of breath. He's like, "What the hell did you do?" He goes get coffee, and then the next day he starts hearing voices. He starts hearing sounds. He doesn't know what's going on. He's seeing visions while he's watching TV, and they thinking he's whacking out. He knows that his son is with the wrong babysitter. Like, he has to go get that baby. The son's missing, and it was true. Like, all that. I won't tell you anymore because it's a really cool story.
So, Stir of Echoes.
Yeah, Stir of Echoes. I've seen it a million times, but I brought that up because I was wondering, like, he couldn't stop the sounds. Like, at any point, did you have that where you couldn't stop? Like, you were like, stop getting in my head. That's how he was.
No, I don't think I did. It was more of a feeling, like, so when I was younger, I used to get panic attacks really bad, and I had agoraphobia when I was 20.
Okay.
Couldn't leave my house, like, was prescribed anxiety meds as needed, like, throughout the day as needed. It was horrible. And then I learned that when we feel spirit, it can also give us those feelings because we're feeling their energy so profoundly. Now, I won't sit here and say panic attacks are you feeling spirit.
Yeah.
It's just sometimes it feels that way. And so I learned that when I start to feel like that, those nerves start to bubble up in the pit of my stomach to just say, you know, I'm feeling you too strongly. I need you to back up. And if it's spirit, it will back up. And if it was just me, it wouldn't. And so I learned that very early on of, like, how to decipher what was me and what was someone else. So it was never like overwhelming, scary, uncomfortable. I embraced it from the moment it was confirmed that it was something that I had.
So the spirits know, are they conscious to know to leave you alone? Like, do they come when they need something? Like, this is so crazy. Like, it's so intriguing.
So in the beginning, they were just, remember I said they were there all the time. But then I learned, you know, think about it as like Halloween when you take your kids, or, you know, when we go trick-or-treating, right? Typically, in New York, it was different growing up. But here, for Halloween, we only go to the houses that have their porch light on.
Oh, okay.
And so if there's no light on, we're not knocking on your door. And so the same kind of goes for the way I work with spirit. You're not welcome unless my light is on. And so the way I set that up is before I go into a reading, I go into a meditation. I clear my energy. I pray to God. I pray to the Holy Spirit. I ask and welcome all of my loved ones and all of my angels and all of my sitters, guides to come in. And I find myself in this room, and it's completely dark. And when I open my eyes and I'm ready, I walk through the room and light a candle. There's thousands of candles in the room. I light candles through the perimeter of the room, and I walk to my spirit guide and I hold her hands, and she gives me whatever I need for the session that's upcoming. And as that's happening, as the lights are being lit, spirit is outside the door, knowing that I'm getting ready to let them in. When I finish a reading, I thank, you know, the spirit for being with me, and I release them back to their loved one. I then close my eyes, I cleanse my energy, and I make sure that I no longer have the spirit. I go through that room, I blow out each and every one of those candles, I shut and lock the door, and then I come back to the present. So it's like little signs, you know, like you guys ever...
Sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're okay. That was fine.
Yeah, no. So where do you do the seance with all the candles? Where is that being held?
So it's just in my mind's eye.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Okay.
I imagine all of that happening.
Gotcha. Okay. So what were you saying? I'm sorry.
So that was it. It's just kind of like an awareness now, you know, like a knowing, and they're very, very respectful. You know, there's a difference between, in my personal opinion, there's a difference between spirits and ghosts. Ghosts for me are the spirits who sometimes don't know they've died. They're earthbound. They're just still kind of wandering and haven't been to the light yet, you know. And so I only communicate with those who are in God's loving white light and divine protection, and who are at peace. And so if there is anything negative or dark, you have, you know, obviously spiritual stuff is spiritual, but in my boundaries, I have it set that there's just no space for you. I have the same way I walk through my candle room is the same way I have protection for me, my children, my home. Like it goes beyond like my front door, my protection for stuff like that.
Okay. Wow, that's cool. So what about the whole thing where I saw a YouTube video that they do come back again? Like one little child came back as a air bomber guy from the army of 1950, and he gave so much like legit stuff to the father and mother, and they couldn't believe it. And the father, he's like, he's right. He's like 3 years old. He knows the aircraft carrier. He knows the plane.
Yeah.
Like, but what, like there is that thing where the spirit does talk to you, but then eventually they can get hooked into a new body and come back.
So let's clear that up. This is called a past life. And so we have multiple lives, right? We have a soul contract before we come for lessons and, you know, tribulations and stuff that we have to go through. Before we come here, we already do agree to all the trauma and all of the like mess that we have to go through and the ways that we're gonna die. Like we agree to coming and fulfilling this. That's
cool.
And so when you think about it, right, you come and life, this is a meat, like this is just a meat suit. Like under this is our spirit. Like that's the ultimate like spirit, you know? And so we come and we have to learn these lessons, and then it ends. And then we go back for a little bit and we heal and we go through like a life review of all the things we went through, all of the other people that we influenced or affected with our actions. And then we decide whether or not we're going to come back. And so that's, what do you call that? Reincarnation, right? You come in as something different. So that's another thing that I do. We also do past life regressions where, we use hypnosis to walk you through your past lives, and you could see for yourself what you were before this. But you get go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. So you put people under with the hypnosis?
Technically, yes. So you're still conscious. You're still like able to, if there's an emergency, if there's something you have to get to, you're able to hop up out of it and just go on as you should, you know. But yes, that's a service I offer. And it's really nice because with it comes a lot of healing. Like if, you know, say, you know, in this life, you're terrified of boats and water, right? We'll take you back to the 1800s where you drown, right?
That's
and then you come back to now and it's like, I don't need to be afraid of that anymore. You know?
Yeah, I'm definitely afraid of like choking. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
like,
that might be.
Wake up middle of the night. I'm like, I'm choking. My mom's like, what would happen? And then after a few times, you're like, nothing wrong with you. Relax.
Yeah.
But that's
I
cool.
could see in the middle of the night where that would be startling to wake up and you're like not conscious yet, and you're like.
Yeah. And if I hear anybody going, I'm like, my wife, are you okay? Yeah. That's cool. So like, who are the clients that would come to you like for like either hypnosis or, you know, mediums? Is it mostly like to get answers from somebody that died, or like you said, like your fear of drowning, so you kind of want to understand, like, am I putting all the blame on myself? Is something wrong with me, or is there a history behind me? You know?
Sure. So I'd say majority of my clients are people who were looking for clarity, and just looking for proof of continuity of life after death. A lot of it is, I get a few men here and there, but a lot of it is women who have lost, husbands, children, babies, mothers, just looking for that. We're human and we're selfish and we would give anything for one more anything once our loved one is gone, so as like a last ditch effort of, I need something to grasp onto, like I'm struggling through my grief and I just need to find comfort somewhere.
Yeah.
That's where I come in, where it's like, okay, let's see what we can open up here, and then you get these messages where these loved ones are like spot on of everything that the sitter has been going through and facing, and
Wow.
it's undeniable, but then you get the clients who are like, I haven't lost anybody, but I'm feeling kind of lost in life and I just need a little bit of clarity and guidance, right? So we talk about career, we talk about finances, we talk about health, we talk about personal development, and we just work, I call it intuitively, but technically that would be a psychic reading. And so we have sessions that do that. And then we have people who are already kind of like enlightened to this world and say, hey, I want to know about a past life. I want to know why I am the way I am today, right? Or I'm just curious, right? Or that sounds interesting. I just want to try it.
Yeah. Curiosity is everything. Like, I love everything universe, deep sea. I watch Ghost Adventures. I've seen millions of episodes. I love aliens. I love everything that has to do with mystery. So I'm like, I'm like so intrigued.
Enlighten me. Let me get all the information I possibly can.
Yeah, we're all intuitive. We want to just know, like, we're here. Even as a kid, I was like, I'm here, but what the hell am I doing here? Like, what's the whole And I used to get bullied a lot because I was short and my mom didn't help me. And I'm like, why the heck was I just sent here? I'm like, I'm going through hell here, man, but
yeah, what's the
there was
point?
something. So maybe, like my sister-in-law says, maybe you did something terrible in your previous life and you have to learn a lesson in this life. Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hand in hand.
Oh, wow.
Definitely goes hand in hand.
She's been telling me that too. Yeah, she's into that too. And I'm like, but that drives me crazy. I'm like, was I bad 3 lives ago? Was I bad? Like, it gets me a lot of anxiety to know that what I'm controlling is premeditated to something that happened to me, previous lives ago, So how much do when I was young, when you get bullied, you don't have control. And knowing this afterlife, I fight her all the time about it when I talk to her. I'm like, when you know this afterlife stuff or previous life, there's no control. Like you just said, like I went through trauma because of what I did the previous life. So now I can't control what happened in the previous life. And it just gives me a lot of apprehension.
Sure. And that's a natural feeling to a situation like that. I wouldn't, yes, right? Maybe you did something in your afterlife and now you kind of got to like work through that, right? I wouldn't necessarily say you're being punished for something you did in the afterlife. But maybe you weren't very kind in the afterlife, or not the afterlife, the past life.
Yeah.
Maybe you weren't very kind. And so now you had to experience as a kid, like unkindness.
Yeah.
But also like, I'm a mom. I have kids. Kids are assholes. Like, and sometimes you didn't do anything other than show up in their day. Like that's real shit. Kids are mean.
Yeah.
And
it's all about them. So if you have a mental battle of like, no, it's all about me. I'm the mom. I'm the boss.
Yeah, that's true.
So you got to have some kind of giving up and put your hands up and say, he's a kid. He doesn't know, and that's the conflict.
Yeah.
So how did you end off with the medium then? So she trained you for how long of a period of time did she help you?
I'd say maybe almost a year. Um, we did a class for a while, and then I got pregnant, and then she ended up going through some things in life and just kind of had to shut the class down. She was moving and stuff. But yeah, but at that point, I was already like giving readings,
Oh, wow.
like to my loved ones and my friends. Mostly in part because at the time, I couldn't control it. So I would walk in the room with someone and I'd be like, "Oh, your uncle's here, and they want you to know," and you know.
I'm the same way. Like I read energy from this area here.
Yeah.
And you know, when people like are going through stuff, like the gentleman, I own apartment buildings and I rent apartments. And gentleman yesterday, he was like, "Yeah, I'm going through a divorce." Nice guy, and he was looking at my apartment, and you know, it's me and my daughter. I'm now just recently gotten a divorce, and I'm like, do I want to read his energy? Because I can tap in here and just see what comes out.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty spot on with my wife when she's upset or like she was worried about her job that she's at now. And I looked inside, I was like, yeah, there's something going on, you know, and I helped her. And she's like, yeah, you're right. So I understand where you're coming from. It's just hard not to, because the answers are right in front of you. It's like, how do you just turn your head and say, no.
Yeah, how do you turn your head to help, right? But
Yeah.
a lot of times you'd be surprised how many people don't want the help yet, you know? Like, we have this knowledge and this knowing, and not even just mediumship, right? Let's put that aside, right? But as humans, as feelers, right? So we're all connected. And so some people just haven't reached that point in their journey yet where they're ready to make a change.
So that's my next question then. Why do you feel like they're not ready to come to you and to get a reading? What if people are watching and they see this, what's stopping them from getting to know more about anything they feel they need to know from you?
Okay. Well, first and foremost, I want you to know that if you're watching this and you're contemplating getting a reading, there's no coincidences. Your spirit guides, your loved ones have brought you to this broadcast right now for a reason. No pressure. I'm here when you're ready. But, you know, sometimes there's like that apprehension of, this is a really delicate situation and I don't want to set myself up for her to be fake or for her to take advantage of me, or, you know.
Or open up stuff.
Yeah, you know, and I need, you know, when it comes to opening up stuff, I need you to know that I do everything with God and God first. And so before we sit down, I pray, I cover us in white light and protection and put a bubble around us with all of the angels, all of the archangels, and just make sure that for our time together, it's completely safe to open your heart, your mind, and just be open to receiving the healing that Spirit has for you that day. You know, but a lot of it may just be they just don't know what to expect, and we fear the unknown, you know, and so just know that there's nothing to be afraid of. My main goal is to make sure that you walk away better than you sat down. There's no time limit. We go as long as we possibly need to. This could be anywhere from an hour to my longest session is when I was doing them in person. I sat with a woman for 4.5 hours. And, you know, I don't rush my time. I don't take my gift for granted. I don't look at you and see dollar signs. Obviously, there's an energy exchange there that has to happen. But I literally, when I book you, I give you every part of me until we're done.
I'm the same way. You know, I'm not, you know, my therapist I had him for about 9 years and he did some shady stuff to me, and I would never, you know, a person comes so vulnerable. And, you know, you don't care if the session lasts one day, one session, and you're good. I'm happy. That's the payoff for me too. I'm like, the money doesn't mean nothing. Yeah, obviously you have to eat and all that, but the payoff to see this person happy and clear, like they come in this way and they're like leaving like, you know, that's awesome.
It's fulfilling. God gave you, you know, the platform and the heart and the mind and the ability to be able to see these things and feel these things and to be able to hold their hand and walk them through it, you know, and it's nice that you don't take that lightly, you know?
Yeah.
You don't take it for granted.
Oh yeah, give me a few clients. Can you share, is it all confidential? Can you share something that from a client that was pronounced that really stood out for you?
So I had this client come to me, and this is one that I will never, ever, ever, ever forget.
Okay.
And she had lost a child, and as a mom, obviously that's difficult to channel a child, you know. But it was very interesting. It was very interesting. She had married an old next door neighbor from a long, long time ago who had also lost a child the same way she lost hers at the same age.
Wow. At the what? The same age?
Same age. Different years apart, but at the same age at the time of death.
Coincidental or not?
They were both living their own lives with other spouses, and, you know, life just kind of took them on this journey where they both had to lose somebody, and it brought them back together again. But as I'm channeling this child, the name comes through very clear. And that was really interesting because I don't always get names and dates. But I'm explaining how these children are working together in heaven and brought them together on earth, right, after their passing. And it was the most beautiful thing I had ever experienced in my life.
Wow, that's so cool.
I'm sitting here and I'm channeling, and the child tells me, "This is what we do." And I'm like, "Okay, what do we do?" She's like, "We heal." And I'm like,
so what child is this? This is the child of one of those people?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
So she takes me to this hospital, right? And she runs, she peeks in the rooms, and it's a children's ward for sick children. And I just see her like run to this room, and she looks in and she looks back at the other child and goes, "Come on, it's this one." And that child comes with these big, huge, big black wings, right? The most beautiful wings I've ever seen in my life.
That's crazy.
And he breathes healing into these children. They work together to heal children. She can feel where it's needed, and he comes in and breathes life into them. Like to sit and like experience that and witness that was like still gives me chills to this day.
I have them too. That's crazy.
It's so beautiful to see these little bodies just filled with so much power. Like they were here for a short time, but they had bigger plans that they had to make it to. But they made sure that they're doing that and making sure that their loved ones are still taken care of down here.
So you explained that to the clients, and they must have been in tears.
I feel like in that moment we were all in tears. Like it was so beautiful to see.
So that gives the client so much relief, right? Because now they're at a better purpose. They lost them young, but you know what? They're doing good. So every time they think about their kids, it's no more like, obviously you're sad because you could have spent more time with the child, especially knowing how special they are.
Yep.
But.
Yep. So that was one of my most favorite readings to this date. I'll never, ever, ever forget that. Ever. It was so incredible to watch.
So the ward they go into, is that a real ward here? The children's ward?
Like a hospital, like in the hospitals, like as like cancer patients and like.
So it's really like are they really healing an actual person, or is this like heaven healing? Are they actually going to real rooms at that moment?
To real rooms coming through they're creating miracles.
So a real human that's alive on this planet is actually getting healed wow.
By these babies.
It's incredible.
And God sits at the end of the hall as they run through it, and they're carrying his power.
Did they send you a message for the couple?
All kinds of messages for that session. Yeah, like they talk about things that they're experiencing and that they're going through, and just to let them know that they're together and that the children are together and that the couple is together for a reason, and that you gotta let us go. Like you gotta see that we're okay. Like don't allow your grief to hold you back so much so that you miss the good that's in front of you right now.
So now, for everybody watching this, right, and had lost someone, what's the percentage of time that they lose a young one that most of the time it's God's purpose to use them in a scenario like this? Can you give kind of like a ballpark, or is that really depends?
I don't know that I have one. That was my only like profound experience with anything like that. And I don't have many, I need to plug up. I don't have very many experiences with children in the afterlife.
Oh, okay, gotcha. So, like, let's say if a dad is watching and they lost their child. So I heard this. I heard this once. A father left his son in like a hot tub and forgot to give him his medication.
Okay.
And the son was very young, like 7, and the son ended up drowning in the tub because he had an episode.
Okay.
So somebody like that watching, like.
So as humans, right? That's very hard to say it's not my fault. Right? It's not very hard to say it's not my fault. But when we spoke earlier, we talked about we have a soul contract, right? And our souls agree when it's our time to go. We agree to that. And so for, somebody facing that, without giving you the session and without your child giving you the validation that your heart needs, I would want you to know that, as cliche as it is, everything happens for a reason. And
you did the best you can, right?
You absolutely did the best you can, and you don't know what you don't know. Like your loved one, I'm sure, would come through a session and give you all the validation that you need to know and understand that it's not your fault, and that if it wasn't that moment, it was going to be another moment because there's fate. Gotcha. And, if it's our day to go, it's our day to go. Whether it be I'm getting hit by a bus, I'm choking, something. If it's my day, it's my day.
Yeah, like Kobe Bryant, right? Excellent at everything, high end, great influencer for the planet, and then he's taken away. Like, that has to be something there,
So hard. I know.
Yeah, and like you kind of just, even now I scratch my head. I'm like, this dude had everything. Like, why was he taken away so soon? And maybe my wife always says he's done enough here, because he retired 2 years later. He died, so he's done what he needs to do. He's shown his lessons. They need him up top.
And a lot of times, losing, like, for the people who are left behind, like, it's part of our journey too. It's part of our healing and our soul's contract, to have to go through that, so that we can help somebody else. If our chapters help somebody else start to write their book.
So can you give me like synopsis for each one? Like, do you do palm reading?
No.
Okay. So
I'm not like woo-woo psychic.
You got a long vein here.
Yeah.
So you do crystals, you do psychic with cards.
So I do, so I play. I use the crystals in my own life. I like to teach people about them. I play with the cards. I don't really pull cards in a reading for real unless I'm like, let's see what the cards have to say. But only after I do like the actual reading. Let's see what the cards say, just to see if they match up with what I was feeling, type of thing. So I do mediumship readings. I do intuitive readings. Those are my specialties. That's what, you would book me for. But then, like I said earlier, I also do the past life regressions. I teach you how to meditate. And I do life coaching. We set goals and I help you accomplish them. I help you rewire that brain to just kind of be able to complete those goals and get yourself past your limiting beliefs.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Like, if you tell the person that, you were sent here and resent back to prove, I think that's pretty good to motivate a person to say, you know what, I was sent back for a purpose and I'm over here wasting my time doing nothing for it, so that's motivating itself, like, you were sent back because you did this, and this, come back and let's see what you got. And I think anybody who leaves your office or your session is going to be somewhat motivated about, their direction in the future.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just a switch in the mind, like sometimes I feel like I overthink things and I'm like, if I just like kind of like get perspective in this moment or about my life and be grateful, that's all it is. It's just a quick understanding of the big picture, like what's happening, you know?
It's a quick little mindset shift.
Yeah, that changes everything because we're stuck in this one way, constantly being negative and all that. And it's just like, look at the bigger purpose. Look what's happening here. And then you can just say, okay, hey, yeah, I need to be better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool, cool. All right. Tell me about so you do cognitive also, cognitive behavioral. That I've done that. I did that for about 9 years, and then I do somatic body work. So cognitive is cool. So you actually take them back to their childhood, kind of like what happened to you with your panic, and you make them understand what happened in their past to bring about what's happening in their present.
Yeah, like, if let's say, I have a client who is afraid of, I don't know, afraid of bridges, right? Okay, well, let's figure out why we're afraid of bridges. Let's figure out when you weren't afraid of bridges and when that changed for you. And let's figure out how old you were. And let's remember that you're not that helpless, out of control 15-year-old stuck in someone else's car, right?
Mm-hmm.
And let's go over that bridge again. Let's go. Let's do it. Like, let's, it's like that.
Exposure therapy.
Yeah, like, let's get you to a place where you're uncomfortable to make you comfortable.
Yep.
Right? Let's rewire that. And I'm good. I got this. I can do this, as we're going through it. But I enjoy it. I enjoy helping others, like I said, regain their purpose again. Life is hard. Life is so hard. And mental health matters. And there's a stigma on, we don't talk about it. No, I want to talk about it.
I tell people, like, when your car's broken, you go in to fix your car. When your house needs repairs, you repair your house. Why do we sit with all this garbage inside our head, inside our body, and not fix it? Like, my dad had anxiety all his life, like serious anxiety, and he never fixed it. Till today, he's been retired 20 years, and the man gets excitable about the littlest things. I'm like, relax, dude. And it's just like, you could have solved this 20 years ago, man, So it just, go, whoever's watching, go get help, man. Go call Mel, get something done so you can heal. That's what I do on my page all the time. Like, heal today. I just want people I want to pay it forward because, when I went to therapy, I thought I was broken. And I was like, and I had to go because my back was against the wall. Stuff was happening. And, it doesn't have to be when, all odds are against you. You can go.
Really, you can go. Yeah. You just need somebody to talk to.
I mean, there's nothing weird about getting therapy or about going to a medium. It's all cool.
Yeah. We're here for you. DMs are open. Exactly.
Did you say phone lines are open?
No. I said DMs are open.
Oh, I thought you said phone lines are open. And then what? There's people in the background in the commercial?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So tell me about that 10 years in New York. What happened? You went to 19 different places, unless, you don't want to share, obviously.
No, I was young. And so I was born in Rockaway. And then my parents moved out to, I want to say, this Ozone Park. And then my dad got a job. And where we moved from there?
Jackson Heights, you said?
Yeah, but we lived in Richmond Hill for a while. And then there we...
Really tough.
I was young, so I didn't know,
Yeah, tough neighborhood.
And then from there we moved to an avenue. I don't remember what avenue. 101st or something? I don't know. I don't remember. Like I said, I was young. But the last place I lived was Jackson Heights before I moved here when I was 10.
So, and you stayed there ever since? You've been in Virginia ever since?
I have.
So how did that affect you as a kid? Because like you were starting a new school every time, right?
I started a school. Let me see. Honestly, I barely went to school when I lived in New York. My parents were drug addicts and alcoholics at the time.
No.
And there was a lot of like domestic violence and just unhealthy things that a kid shouldn't be experiencing.
Wow.
And so that's why I moved here, because at the time my sister and her husband took me, and they had already had my brother for a couple years, and things were just kind of getting out of hand. And my sister was like, we're not doing this anymore. Like, you're coming. And she told my mom, and a couple months later, my mom came. Got clean, got sober, and then I was 10, and I was away from my dad all the way until I was about 18 when I got back in contact with him.
How was that for you?
It was amazing because I missed my daddy. Like,
The drugs and the alcohol is not them. This is the thing that's hard because you know who your dad is when he's outside of that. And it's just like to go through that and say, okay, I know he's not that bad person. That must be really hard.
But it was interesting because I didn't really know him sober, and I didn't really know my mom sober, But the way I had looked at it was like, I see my mom, like, she's putting in all this work and to better herself, and we have a good life, and my dad deserves that too, But you can't love somebody to death, You can't want something for them more than they want it for themselves. And so my dad struggled for a few years after I had turned 18 and we got back in contact. And it got to a point where I was like, I love you, but I don't want to talk to you when you're like this. He was drinking all the time. And so he called me on, I want to say it was like my 23rd birthday or something. It was like, listen, I just need you to know that I've been clean for 30 days. And that was great. He kept it up for a while. And then he called me on my son's 5th birthday. And I could tell something was off. I knew he was drinking. He told me he wasn't. So 3 days later, I call him and I'm checking in, and I still feel like he's drinking, and he's telling me he's not. Listen, in the middle of a conversation, like, we moved on from the part of, Daddy, are you drinking again? Like, I need you to tell me. No, I'm not. So now we're like 20 minutes into this conversation, and out of nowhere, he goes, I am. And I'm like, you are? What are you talking about? Like, what? He goes, I ran into somebody that I used to know, and I told him that I was sober. And he looked at me and said, Jimmy, you can handle one drink. Let's go to the bar. You're a grown-up. You can handle one. He goes, Melissa, I haven't stopped since. Later, we had him here to get clean. It's like, you need help sometimes. And so I spent a few years with my husband, just kind of getting my daddy back on track. And while my mom was, living, doing her thing, nice and clean. And, you get to a point where you realize, like, it's their first experience here too. And I was angry for a while. And you can't be. That's selfish. Like, they're like souls having a human experience the same way that I am. And so there's like mercy there. There's grace. I understand. I get it. Especially as I get older, I understand that life is hard. Mental health is hard. Like, they're coming from a time where you did the drugs and you did the alcohol to hide that. And we're at a time where, like, no, fucker, we talk about it. Like, we talk about it. We try to heal through it.
There was none of that back in the day. Like, my parents come from the time where, there was no emotional connection really. It's like, and then especially with a guy, you're supposed to be like axing trees down and not showing emotions and all that stuff. And that's the hardest thing. I talked with another guy. I have an episode coming out where he specializes on men, and he does seances or retreats, and with all the men, and it's like they come in and they cry so much stuff out. It's like, he goes, you wouldn't believe they're like little babies after they're done because just so much bottled up. And they said the suicide rate is pretty high amongst men because just they're not allowed to like speak it out. So I think with your dad, like, to have a good cry would probably help him leaps and bounds to get rid of that,
I hate that stigma when it comes to men, because you're just a man. Like, so what? You're a man. Like, you still have a heart. You still have life experiences. You still have hurts. You still have triggers. You still have situations that are hurtful. Like,
Yeah.
I have 2 boys. I will never look them in their face and tell them stop crying. You want to cry? Let's cry. Cry it out. You got something to say? Say that shit.
Yeah.
Like, speak. Your voice matters. Like, you have a voice. God gave you one for a reason. Don't hold that in. That's cancer in the body.
We wish our parents would say that to us, right? My mom was there and my dad was there for the physical nurturing, but the emotional was God, but yeah, what can you do? But that's great. I mean, I can't believe, like, I cannot tell that you've been through that. You seem so cleansed and healed. So it seems like you've done a lot of work to heal yourself of all that, because I would have never saw it. And I read energy and you're pretty clean.
I appreciate that. There's this saying, it's 2 twins, right? We have 2 twin guys. One became a drug addict and the other one became a lawyer. And when you ask them both what happened, they both respond, I watched my parents. Like, the one learned and went down their path, and the other one watched and decided different for themselves.
I was looking at the Arnold Schwarzenegger documentary, and he said that his other brother, they're almost the same age, his father was such a jerk, Arnold's father, and his brother couldn't do it. Like the father would hit him and be aggressive, and Arnold took it as motivation, saying, I'm not going to let him break me. But his other brother started drinking and eventually got into a car accident and died. So, yeah.
No.
So that's the thing. It's like, it depends on the character, right? I mean, if the person can really handle that, and like, sometimes you get broken with it, so. All right, let's wrap it up. So plug some ventures. What you got going on? Let us know about your website and all the other good stuff.
So my website is currently being built, but I do have a bio link in my Instagram. You can book online. You can follow me, like me on Facebook. And yeah,
if they're finding you on YouTube without the Instagram, what's your Instagram handle?
Mel in the middle. So it's MEL, the letter N, and then the words the middle.
Okay.
And then on Facebook, it's Mel and the word in the middle. Mel in the middle.
Somebody took your I from Instagram.
Yep, exactly. So
it sounds like an 80s TV show. Mel in the middle.
So really quickly, so my name comes from, I have to raise my vibration really, 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 really high to be able to communicate with spirit. And spirit works and is just being at a very high frequency. So to be able to communicate with me, they have to lower their frequency. And essentially we meet in the middle. So Mel, Melissa, in the middle.
Oh,
we meet in the middle.
That's the stuff you learn, right? To learn to, and like you say, raise your vibration. Like that's all through your mind, right?
Yeah, your energy. You can raise your vibration. You can ground yourself. You can walk barefoot. You can eat. I like to eat vibrant colors: pineapples, mangoes, apples. Listen to music, jump around, do a couple jumping jacks. Like when you're hyped and you're excited and your energy is up, right? That's your vibration is high.
Yeah. Wow. Cool. I have one last thing.
Okay.
I see like things at night. I see like figures. I see worms. I think like there's a worm on my wife's head, and I'm like, get up! There's a worm. I've had that all my life where I actually see things that are not there, and sometimes I'll see a hand in front of me, and I'll know, and I'll just start blinking, and the hand disappears.
Okay.
And my wife's like, I don't know what's wrong. You had that checked out. Like middle of the night, I'll see something like a bug flying. I'm going like this, and I see all kind of things, and it just
dark when that's happening, or are the lights on when this is happening?
No, in the dark. So I don't know if my eyes are just.
Yeah,
okay.
I think it's just our eyes just kind of playing tricks on us. Like if I have a pile of laundry in the middle of the night, it looks like a man standing in my corner.
Mm.
Like it looks like a.
Or is it transmitting like the dream into my eyes, kind of thing?
Oh, I don't know. That might be something to look into.
Yeah, like you're dreaming about a worm, and then you open your eyes, and your eyes are portraying.
Over there, your brain hasn't caught up yet. That might be something worth looking into. Yeah.
Very good. Awesome. Oh my God. I love this episode.
Much fun. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, Mel, thank you for coming. I'm excited. Good luck in all you do. I hope you save a ton of people and give them so much clarity. And enjoy the rest of your day in Virginia. If you want me to take any pictures of New York areas that you want to remember, let me know.
Oh, I love that. Thank
You'd be like, is that place still there?
you.
Jackson Hole is still there, by the way.
Yep. I know it.
Well, so any family in New York?
I do still have family in New York. All of my cousins are there. My grandmother unfortunately passed away a few years ago. So I don't go back as often as I used to. I used to make sure I made it once a year to see her. But yeah, all of my cousins and aunts and...
You should go for Christmas. Christmas is always amazing over here. Go to Rockefeller.
I just said to my husband the other day I want to do New York for Christmas.
Rockefeller, the Christmas show, the walking around. Was that?
I said, I don't know about the cold.
Oh, come on. Listen, it's better than super hot in Florida or somewhere else where, what can you do when you're too hot? Like when you're too cold, you put earmuffs, you put scarf, hat, and like you bundle appropriately.
Hot.
Huh?
So when you're hot, you're just hot. You just got to be miserable, right?
Yeah. So there's no cold there in Virginia?
Oh, no, it's cold, but it's colder in New York.
Yeah.
Last night was like 43. I was freezing. That's like a warm day in the winter in New York.
Yeah, we have the water here, so that water helps it get more chillier. That's the thing.
Yep.
Very good, very good. Okay, Mel, thank you so much for coming, and I'm excited to edit this and show the people.
Well, beans. I like it. It was fun. Thank you.
Yeah, it was awesome, and I'm sure a lot of people are gonna get a lot of good stuff out of it. And I hope your phone lines start ringing.
Thanks.
Hello, you want to pledge? Yeah, I thought you said that phone lines are on. I was like, phone lines are on.
That's hilarious.
All right, Mel, have a great rest of your day.
The same. Thank you, Joey. I appreciate you.
Yeah, no worries. And yeah, we'll definitely stay in touch.
Okay, sounds good. Enjoy your day.
You too. Take care.
You too. Bye-bye.